Hey, this is Marcus Washington from MTC Media, wrapping up here from Charlottesville. The Cavaliers fall to North Carolina 54 to 44, and the game reflected every bit of the score. Both teams at times had problems on offense. Both teams at times was able to get the ball in the lane, sometimes finish, sometimes not finish. And I think both teams have something positive and negative they can take away from this. But wrapping up for Virginia, it was Jordan Minor that led them in scoring. He had 12 points. Reese Beekman had 10 points. Today, Minor had a double-double. He had 12 points with 10 rebounds. As far as for Carolina, they were led by Cormac Ryan, who seemed to be the only player who could make a shot in the first half. He finished with 18 points on 6 of 12 shooting, 6 of 11 from 3. You see where that was going. Mondo Baycott had 10 points and 13 rebounds, which you have to give him a lot of credit for that. He sat over 12 minutes in the first half because of 2 fouls. He was in foul trouble early, and yet in the second half, he made a major impact on the game, and Harrison Ingram had 7 points and 10 rebounds. Ingram might have made, I don't know if you can classify it as the biggest shot of the game, but one of the bigger shots of the game. Hubert Davis dialed up an ATO that ended up giving Harrison Ingram a layup there to push Carolina's lead back up late. In fact, if you go to the post-game presser that you can get at my YouTube channel, Making the Cut with Mook, just put that in. My stuff should come up. I asked Hubert Davis about the running that play and what he saw prior to running that play, and he talked about why that play worked, and it's good. Just check it out on YouTube. Check out it. It's on my YouTube channel. Now, let's go back to the first half where Carolina led 26 to 16 at the half. And it was a half where I felt like Virginia left a lot of things on the court. They were running a low screen action, no pin down action for Reese Beekman. And on that curl, I am telling you, Beekman was open the majority of the time. He got 4 quick points just simply shooting over RJ Davis off of that curl action. But then North Carolina made some adjustments, and Virginia, frankly, had a hard time finishing over contests. Again, not to advertise again, I asked Tony Bennett about that. Same place. You can catch Tony Bennett's post game on my YouTube channel. I asked him about whether they struggled or not finishing over contests for North Carolina. But I thought that both teams felt like they kind of escaped that first half. Yes, Virginia was down by 10 points in the first half. Virginia also shot 17% in the first half, and they're only down 10. For North Carolina, they had 3 main players with 2 fouls at halftime. Davis, Cadeau, and Baycott all had 2 fouls at halftime, and they had to manage those minutes. They got 11 minutes out of Jalen Washington in the first half, and yet North Carolina was still up 10 points. So going into halftime, you could see both teams saying, look, we did not have the first half that we scripted, but look where we are. In UVA's case, made a couple of runs down there, if you want to call 2 points, 4 points here, runs, but they got stops, got the Hills in foul trouble going in that first half. And for North Carolina, Cormac Ryan was extending the floor, which looked great in the box score in the first half and played a part in the second half. As you can say, well, his points wasn't as present in the second half, but that's because the floor spread out and other guys scored, and North Carolina ended up with offensive rebounds because everything wasn't congested. So Cormac Ryan's first half threes was more impactful than just how many points he scored. It impacted the entire game all throughout because it made the floor bigger for Carolina. In the second half, both teams scored more. Virginia came out, scored like the first 4 points in the second half. They continuously got this down in single digits. North Carolina's offense at times kind of sputtered, and I'll be frank with you. North Carolina wins this game by 10. The Tar Heels probably win this game by 20 if they don't turn the ball over. Their turnovers always kept Virginia within some sort of arm reach of getting back into this thing, and Virginia stayed into it because of that. Carolina ended the day with 10 turnovers, and a lot of it is when it would happen, and a lot of it was R.J. Davis's 3 turnovers, which kind of followed his day, where he shot 1 for 14, 1 for 8 from 3, but 9 for 10 from the free throw line, because in the second half, and this is why you need a veteran player that is good and talented like RJ is, but a better player. If you notice in the second half, he was so hell-bent on getting downhill, getting 2 feet in the paint, and trying to finish there, which helps him get to the free throw line. And because of that, you saw him pepping his step, more rhythm, was moving quicker in and out of his breaks, because he didn't just sit there and live at the three-point line saying, oh my gosh, I usually make these things aren't going in right now. Instead, veteran move, he gets downhill, he gets to the free throw line, and then that helps him generate points, helps break down the defense, helps his team offensively, and a great move by Davis, something that you expect with a guy that's that experienced, but something you don't always get with a guy that is that experience. So North Carolina and R.J. Davis definitely deserves all the credit on that and him changing his game. The other thing that I felt like North Carolina did very, very well in this game was defensively was Isaac McNeely, 2 for 9 from the floor, 1 for 5 from 3. They consistently ran him off the three-point line, and if you listen to my preview, I talked about this. Wake Forest did the same thing. They were going to live if McNeely wanted to catch it outside the three-point line, pump fake, pull up for a midi. Wake Forest was more than willing to live with that. Well, Carolina was willing to live with that also because of their length. And let's be honest, they're a better defensive team than Wake Forest, and that's no slight to Wake Forest. I think it just made it tough for McNeely, and you see him trying to generate, and it just wasn't there for the Cavs and for him today in that second half. Though Blake Buchanan gave Virginia some quality minutes in the first half, I don't think we saw him at all in the second half. But one of the other things I talked about in my preview was the others, and that Groves or Rhodey would have to have a game. And neither one of them really did. Rhodey did hit the 1-3, I believe, in the second half from the wing, and Groves was 0 for 3 in 19 minutes. Not enough from the others. And as much as the theme is, Virginia struggling on offense, a lot of it is that now teams are loading up. They're loading up on Beekman. Beekman ended up shooting 4 for 14 today because he was constantly outside of those first actions. Once North Carolina had basically someone on the rim line and was taking those curls away, and sometimes switching, and I think a couple times Ryan ended up on him, which was a bigger body than R.J. Davis's body. Now he's trying to finish over contest. Now, I felt like that Virginia should have finished more over contest, but it's a different type of shot, and he ends up a very inefficient 4 for 14 because of that. But that can be helped, and McNeely could be helped if those other guys, and it doesn't have to be all. In some of these games, it just has to be one person. If those guys can stretch the floor, and if a team says, I don't care if you make your first 2, you're going to have to continue to make them, then you have to continue to make them. Groves did it earlier this season in the game, I believe it was the Notre Dame game, I can't remember which one it was, where they definitely just said, it was Notre Dame, it definitely was Notre Dame, where they said, hey, you're just going to have to hit that all game. And Groves said, no problem, I'm going to hit this all game. And so it's going to have to come at the others are going to have to help Virginia's offense. I am telling you, if they can make an offensive impact on the game, Virginia's offense will look better. But today was about Carolina. It is a big win. They go and take back sole possession of first place in the ACC because Duke lost earlier today at Wake Forest. Obviously, the storyline of that game seems to be the court storming in Winston-Salem, and Kyle Filipowski ends up getting hurt during the court storming. Don't know how serious it was. It looked like it was an ankle injury for him, and I'm sure that is going to be talked about for the next few days, especially if he misses any time for the Blue Devils. For Virginia, now they're still in third, but they're 3 games out of first place. 3 games behind North Carolina. They stay 2 games behind Duke, and they have a trip to Durham next week. So again, North Carolina with a 54-44 win here in Charlottesville. This is Marcus Washington signing off for MTC Media.